A powerful new film about the life of St. Francis Cabrini opens this week in theaters. Cabrini's executive producer and the driving force behind the movie, Eustace Wolfington, tells us about the personal inspiration that drove him to make this epic film. The World Over begins right now.
Now, Raymond Arroyo.
A warm welcome to all of you joining us in the United States and the world over. If you'd like to comment on tonight's show, send me an X post. I'm at Raymond Arroyo. Some news to share with you. On Wednesday, Pope Francis attended his weekly papal audience, but once again he delegated his remarks to be read by an aide. Pope Francis is still suffering the lingering effects of what the Vatican says is a cold. The Pope has relied on aides to read his public addresses since the Vatican announced he was suffering from mild flu symptoms in late February. Additionally, on Wednesday, Pope Francis was unable to climb the few steps into his Pope-mobile. Attendants finally brought out a wheelchair for the Pope before wheeling him out of the piazza. Respiratory and mobility problems continue to take their toll on the 87-year-old pontiff. We should keep him in our prayers, and we'll continue to monitor this story. Despite his health, March 2nd, the Pope met with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in a first private meeting at the Vatican. The two discussed the importance of the Christian faith in Germany, as well as migration and global peace. The Pope's meeting with the Chancellor comes amid tension between the Vatican and the Church in Germany over the German bishop's synodal path. Meanwhile, a prominent Spanish bishop, José Ignacio Munilla, says the solution to the chaos caused by the Vatican's controversial directive on blessings for same-sex couples and those in irregular situations is for Pope Francis to retract it. Bishop Munilla wrote on X, "In the face of so much chaos, we have enough signs to conclude that the solution is to rectify, that is, to withdraw fiducia supplicans," end quote. The Spanish bishop has a large social media following and is known for statements supporting traditional Catholicism. He also maintained that fiducia supplicans and Pope Francis are not heretical and has sanctioned a priest for accusing Francis of heresy. As many of you know, a new epic film chronicling the life and work of one of the Church's most beloved saints, Mother Frances Xavier Cabrini, hits theaters this weekend. In 1946, Mother Cabrini became the first American citizen to be canonized by the Roman Catholic Church. Cabrini begins its theatrical run Friday, March 8th. What many may not know is that this entire project is the fruit of one man's inspiration. Philadelphia businessman Eustace Wolfington actually made Mother Cabrini's acquaintance decades ago, but he believes it was the saint's prompting that compelled him to spend years and $50 million to bring her story to the big screen. It's a journey worthy of Cabrini's, as Eustace Wolfington shared with me during our interview. Eustace, tell me how you first came across Mother Cabrini. I mean, you had an acquaintance with her long before this movie came along.
Yeah. Well, it was in 1955. I was 23 years of age, and I was looking for a church to find an early Mass, a 6:30 Mass, near my work. And I found this church. I walk in, I see a statue of this woman. I have no idea who it is. The priest said, we're going to do a 9-week novena on Mother Cabrini. I said, okay, I'll go to it. I went to it, and I was so unbelievably surprised about this woman and what a make-it-happen lady she was. And I want to make things happen in my life, so I said, I'm going to adopt her as my patron saint. And I did.
And fast forward, 2002, you found the Wolfington Center at Cabrini University, which is the focus of which is what? What do they do there?
That's the religious center. That's for all the religious activities on the campus. They do outreach programs, and in the summertime they travel to Appalachia. And,
They do all kinds of social justice outreach as well as charitable works. Yes. So Cabrini has always kind of haunted you. I mean, really, throughout your life.
Yeah, well, when I learned about her, I would read up on her life, and I got to know her, and I'd go all over the world and talk about her, because my business took me around the world, and I'd talk about Mother Cabrini.
Why? What about her?
First, I asked people if they ever heard of her, in which in most cases they hadn't. And even Italian families. I mean, I was shocked that here she is, the first American saint, this great Italian woman, probably one of the greatest Italian women of all time, and nobody knew her.
Wow.
So that bothered me. But even with that, I wasn't going to do a movie.
And in 2011, one of the nuns running Cabrini University comes to you and says, would you invest in this movie about Mother Cabrini? And you said what?
Well, I said, sister, I did one movie in my life. I'm a car dealer. And I never want to do another movie.
And that was Bella.
That was Bella, yeah.
Which it made back its money, but it wasn't a big hit.
No, and that happened right here in this office, Bella. Beautiful. Alejandro and Leo and Eduardo walked in here one day with my nephew, and they were the scroungiest looking guys you ever saw. And they opened up a computer, and I saw a light on the screen, and I thought I was going to see something. And Alejandro started talking, and that was it. And all I heard was little music and him talking. And they were telling me the story about Bella. And I won't get into that, that's a whole story. But it happened right here in this office.
But you had already invested in a film, and you weren't looking for another film property.
Yeah, I wasn't looking from an investment, I wasn't worried about the investment point of view. I was worried about the time and the work. A movie's a lot of work.
You made your career really in the auto business. What was it about Mother Cabrini that appealed to you? And that clearly it was the entrepreneurial and businessman in you that was, you saw kinship there in her spirituality and approach to building things and growing enterprises.
Exactly, and to never give up. Never give up spirit. And you know, that was the way I was raised. I was raised, never quit. When I was a kid, my grandfather would take me in the shop and he would throw trash all over the floor. He'd say, clean it up. I'd clean it up. He'd throw it out again. He'd clean it up. I'd clean it up again. He'd throw it out again. I'm starting to think he was losing it. Yeah. And, but he was teaching me a lesson. He said, I want to teach you a lesson. He said, you're going to get in life, you're going to do things, they're going to fall apart, and you got to do it again. And you're going to have to do it again. So that hit me in Mother Cabrini.
Never give up, stay to it, and stay on mission.
Stay on mission.
Eustace, what changed your mind? Because in 2011, you tell this nun, I don't need to do a movie on Mother Cabrini. I don't see it. What changed?
Well, remember, she bugged me every year for 6 years. She didn't go away.
She didn't give up either.
She didn't go away. So she finally called me and said, look, I have an Italian film company that's going to do the movie on Mother Cabrini. Come up to New York to her shrine. I'd like to introduce you. So I go up to the shrine for the first time I was ever at the Cabrini Shrine. And I meet this Italian film company, a great company, and they're very excited about doing the movie. But I looked at what they were going to do, and I just knew instinctively that that wasn't the way Mother Cabrini should be portrayed.
Why?
Because it was going to be a fairy tale saint movie. It wasn't going to be the real person. It was going to be handing out candy, patting kids on the head, you know, picking up flowers. And, you know, the complete opposite of who she was.
None of the struggle.
No struggle.
With a nun as their Pied Piper.
It's the story of a saint, a woman who is a ferocious fighter and has a huge heart. Basically a history film. But the way Gandhi is a history film, or Lawrence of Arabia is a history film, everybody working on the film is doing what they can to bring Mother Cabrini back to life for people.
So I said we have to do as I said, we have to do the Gandhi kind of movie. He was a Hindu, but it didn't get in the way. She's a nun, it can't get in the way. We have to do a movie of a woman who just happened to be a nun. And that became the premise of which we did the movie, because we wanted the movie to be universal. We wanted everyone to get to understand Mother Cabrini, to see her life, and let her life be the message.
How did this become your mission, though? I mean, this suddenly becomes your mission.
Well, once you commit to something, remember my father's principle, whatever you do it better than anybody else, no matter what it is. And so I learned a lesson from Deming. Deming had a lesson. He said, if you're going to do something, you have to do it 100% right up front, or you're going to have a big tail on the back end. If you shortcut up front, you're going to have a lot of problems in the back.
And you go over to the archives in the Vatican. I mean, you're actually there with the archivists and the historians.
Yeah, well, when I
investigating.
first agreed to do the movie, I didn't have any team. I had to get a writer because I was out pitching in New York about this movie we wanted to do, and the guy said, "Well, where's your script?"
Yeah, they want a script.
And I said, "Wow, I don't even have a script." So I said, "Look, I'll tell you what. I'll come back a year from now. I got to go out and get a script done." So I called Leo. I called Ted Baer. I called several people in the industry. I said, "Can you help me get a writer who would, be the kind of writer for Cabrini?" I had several people I interviewed. When I met Rod Barr, I said, "Rod, send me some of your scripts." He sent me some of his scripts. I really liked what he did and the way he wrote, and so we agreed to take it on. So the first thing we did was go to Rome, and we almost something called the Papal Foundation. So we go to see the Pope every year. Yeah. So we were going over to see the Pope that year, and then we went up to her Cadagno, which is her hometown. Yeah. Lived in her convent for 10 days with all the nuns, and all the historians were there, and we learned all about Mother Cabrini locally, and it was the best thing we ever did because we'd also read 27 books on her life. But there was something that's in the movie that wasn't in any of the books.
What's that?
And that's the scene where Mother Cabrini breaks into the Senate. That was not in any of the books. But the head of the order, who had retired, was now the head historian, got out all the newspaper clippings and started to tell us the story about how Mother Cabrini had broken into the Senate. And Rod picked right up on that and said, that's got to be in the movie.
And she pleads with the Senate to finance her work back in New York.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. No, she had an amazing kind of dynamism. I love that scene with the Pope, where every time, she reminds me a lot of Mother Angelica. When a door closed, she found a window or she found another door or she knocked a wall down to get through. And I love, that moment where she goes back to the Pope when New York tries to shut her down.
Grazie, Santità.
Well, she and the Pope had developed a really great relationship. The reason we named the movie Cabrini, whenever he would see Mother Cabrini at a distance walking into he'd say, "Hey Cabrini, hey Cabrini." So we didn't call it Mother Cabrini, we called it Cabrini.
Because that's how he would refer to her.
I was going to call it Hey Cabrini, but we thought Cabrini is a little more dignified.
So you go to Alejandro Monteverde, who's the director. Is that after you had a script in hand?
Yeah, well, after we had the script, I didn't go to Alejandro right away because I'd gotten the feedback from Leo and other people that he was on another job and wasn't available. So I started looking around to other directors. And I think I told you I was sitting in church one day and I got this overwhelming message to call Alejandro. I was the 8 o'clock mass. So I get home at 10 o'clock. I walk in my house, the phone rings. No one calls me on Sunday. Yeah. And it's a phone call saying, "You should try and get Alejandro." And I thought, wow, that's it. Wow, that's my sign. And I caught him, he was about to sign a new contract the next day. And he didn't want to do a movie about a nun.
Yeah, he told me that a few weeks ago.
He didn't want to do a movie about a nun. So I sent him the script. And the script was so well written that he realized that Alejandro, I think he probably told you, he has to see a movie. When he reads a script, he has to see it. If he doesn't see it, it's not for him. And he read the script and he saw it.
You even went to Martin Scorsese about this at one point because...
Well, I was going through the internet and I saw where Martin Scorsese, Loretta Young had gone to him in 1973 and said, "Let's do a movie on Cabrini. I want to play Cabrini." And so I knew it didn't get done, so I figured he had the script.
Right.
So I had my brother write him a letter, my brother Alex, and say, "Do you have a script?" He wrote back and said, "I don't have it." I said, "I'll buy it from you." He said, I don't have the script, but I'll give you a tip. Get an Italian actress. And that was the best tip we've ever could have had.
Why do you think that would be important?
Well, I guess it's because Mother Cabrini was an Italian woman. She did not come here until she was 39 years of age. Her whole life was spent in Italy. And I guess he just,
So you have that
he
authenticity.
knew what I didn't know.
Yeah, you have that authenticity in the playing. You didn't have to strain for the Italian part.
We shot the movie 39% in Italian.
Negata? Come sarebbe negata?
None of that is an American who speaks Italian. Our whole crew is from Italy. The whole cast is from Italy, so that they're all speaking their native tongue.
There are many daughters of Cabrini, but there's only one son of Cabrini that I know of. Tell me about that and how that happened.
Well, that was really a great honor. The Cabrini nuns in New York, Sister Petrina, had a surprise for me. They invited me up to talk at a event they were having, a big event they have every year, and they honor three or four people at that event, and they honored me, and I didn't know it, and they gave me this special medal and said, I'm the first son of Cabrini. They made me a son of Cabrini, and that was pretty good.
I'll say.
I was really, really overwhelmed.
A little tip of that habit from
Yeah.
Mother herself.
From Mother herself.
This is- but this
and
is-
you look for things like that. I mean, several things along the road, Mother Cabrini kind of let me know she wanted me to do this movie.
It's a huge undertaking, though. I mean, you raised, what, $50 million for this movie?
Yeah, well, I raised $25 million on a script. COVID broke out, and no one would talk to me. So I had to get a line of credit from the bank for another $25 million, which I'm still raising, you know. But
you went forward.
we
You did
went
it.
forward and got it done. Yeah. I mean, you can't stop a movie. When you start a movie, you're either going to go.
What is the message here? Some people look at it and say the message is we need health care, we need housing for the immigrant population. Is that the message?
No, the message is one of hope. And so many people come into this movie, and we've gotten so many letters where there's so much anxiety about the world, and they're so fearful about the future. And they say they walk into the movie, and they watch Mother Cabrini's life, and all of a sudden they're excited about life again. I think it had to do with when they saw that every immigrant that's come into this country has had to come from the outside. And it's always taken them a generation or two to work their way into the middle. And that's so obvious in the film because of what the Italians had to go through.
Yeah, and she really insists that they keep both their Italian language and heritage, but also understand English, learn the ways of America. I mean, she really trained them.
Well, first
to
of all,
be-
she was a great educator. Mother Cabrini, early on, had what she called the education of the heart. She knew it was much more than reading, writing, and arithmetic. She knew you had to have love. She knew that you had to be able to go out and handle anger. She knew that you had emotions that you had to have under control. So in her schools, a nun, you were never allowed to correct a student in front of anybody else. It was forbidden. And you had to call him aside, take him out and work with him. And you had to do everything based on his potential, on the gifts God had given him. There's a whole book on her principles of teaching. You could be trained to be a teacher, but you had to go through her, to be a Cabrini teacher, you had to go through her course. She didn't come here until she was 39 years of age.
It's unbelievable.
So when she came here, within 2 days, she had a school open. I remember she had no money, no facilities, no pencils, no book. In 2 days, she had a school open at the bottom of a church because she knew that education was going to be the key to them getting ahead. And most of the Italians that she had to deal with were uneducated. They came from southern Italy. And of course, Mother Cabrini's nuns came from northern Italy. And they're all very sophisticated and well educated. And when they got here, it was like a shock to her nuns. They were just shocked at the conditions these people were living in and the fact that they weren't educated. But they, overnight, Mother Cabrini taught humility. She taught, serve, like Mother Teresa, who copied her like Mother Cabrini, you see the face of Christ in everybody, and you're doing this for Christ.
She also had this fierce devotion to the Sacred Heart, which
Yeah.
she named the congregation
Yeah.
after as well.
She went to a school called the Daughters of the Sacred Heart, and she would meditate for 3 and 4 hours a day in front of the Sacred Heart. And over that period of time, that 4-year period of high school, she came out with this incredible devotion to the Sacred Heart.
You've seen some of the criticism where, in addition to the people calling the movie a masterpiece and saying it's how moving it is, there are some that are saying there's not enough emphasis on her prayer life. We don't see her praying.
Well-
What's your reaction to that?
Well, we tell them that was deliberate. We said we wanted her life to be the prayer. And our Mother Cabrini's whole life was prayer. I mean, she was praying all day long. And everything she did. Alejandro gave a good example. He said, you people will walk down the street by a homeless person. Mother Cabrini never would have walked by a homeless person. I mean, that was her prayer. Her prayer was living. She lived her faith. Now, she was big on retreats for all her nuns. They all built around the spiritual exercises, all of her retreats. They had a great prayer life, but they were working 24/7. These nuns, when they came to America, they were working 24/7. They were working at night in the homes with the parents and teaching all day long, and working in the prisons. She was working in mines. I mean, Mother Cabrini was
She finds 67 separate ministries all over the country
all
and
over
the
the
world.
world. And 60 of them were built between 39 and 67. And that 20-some year period, she built 60 of those major institutions, major hospitals.
To what do you attribute that? I mean, this is a woman who's sickly. She wasn't even supposed to live till 40 years old. And here she is, she really didn't start her work till almost 40.
Well, first of all, God gifted her with this incredible organizational talent. She was a great organizer.
What was that?
And a great leader. Administratively, Mother Cabrini, when she opened up the Columbus Hospital, for example, she was out of there in 120 days. It was running like a clock. And everybody in that place, she knew how to pick the right administrator. Everybody in that place had written out what their job was. The guy sweeping the floor. I mean, her detail to healthcare. She just had this incredible organization for
gift.
detail.
Yeah.
And one of her rules was to keep everything simple. So her nuns, she said, humility, service, and simplicity. And of course, love, but love came first. But humility and the nuns in that order are so truly humble.
There's a beautiful song during the end credits now that when I saw the film was not there. It's Andrea Bocelli and his daughter. Now, the daughter's
Yeah.
in the movie.
The daughter's in the movie.
How did you get Andrea Bocelli to do that beautiful song at the end?
Well, we call that Cabrini. No, but a gentleman walked in our office one day, a really fantastic young man who I didn't even know. And we got talking, and he said, I would like to get Andrea Bocelli to sing. And we had already had that idea. My nephew had already got me in touch with someone that was starting to arrange that. But this guy grabbed it, and within 48 hours, the record was done. I mean, he just called Andrea Bocelli's wife on the phone,
Yeah.
Veronica, and he...
And he wrote new lyrics for it as well, to the song. In Italian.
And he wrote his own lyrics for the song. The song's called Dare to Be. It was written by Gene Bach, our composer, and it was written for the film. And but it was just the hand of God to help us get Andrea. And he's supporting the movie 100%. His wife called yesterday and said, whatever you want, whatever support you need, we're here for you.
Abbandonato al tuo coraggio cado anch'io. Fiore di
Tell me about the effect it's having on people. You've been to, I don't know how many screenings now of this film all over the country. What are you hearing? What are you seeing from people? You're a salesman. You're an entrepreneur. What's your customers saying?
Well, what I would have loved to have done, and I was going to show you today anyway, some of the testimonials. We have thousands of testimonials where people are walking out and spontaneously. But the first thing they're saying is that this is one of the greatest movies they've ever seen, if not the greatest in the top 3, and that's how they say it. They say everybody has to see this film. And they're all moved deeply for different reasons. If you're an Italian American, you're deeply moved because you're now seeing what your ancestors went through and what your grandparents were telling you about. And so that moves them deeply.
Well, my name is George Paquetto, and I'm from Philadelphia, and I'm, of course, an Italian American, and was deeply, deeply moved by the movie. For me, it's more than just a moving story. It's actually personal, because I grew up in a Cabrini orphanage here in New York. And the first 6 years of my life was in an orphanage, and I was cared for by the nuns. When you are in there, you are, of course, graced with the love of these nuns. And if it were not for the nuns, and if it were not for these angels that care for the downtrodden and the less fortunate, so many of us wouldn't be here today to be able to talk about it.
Young people are moved by, if we interview young girls, Mother Cabrini's tenacity, the way she never gave up, the way she just, because Mother Cabrini had a vision. Her vision was always eternity, always. And so anything on earth that was thrown her way was nothing, because she saw the big picture. And that's why she had so much tenacity. And she was smart and a great businesswoman. In Chicago, when they were going to build a Chicago hospital, the night before, she walked the whole piece of ground. When they got to the settlement table, they tried to cheat her out of some of the ground. And they were shocked.
She knew the landscape.
She knew the land.
Is that what drove you down this path, eternity, that vision of eternity? Is that why you felt so compelled to bring this film to fruition?
Well, that's always the vision. I mean, I always say, God put us here to get out of here. That's my favorite saying. God put us here to get out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I think when people get out of here, they're blessed. I mean, I think I write letters to people when someone passes on of a saying I learned when my wife died. It said, gratitude turns the pangs of sorrow into tranquil joy. And, so gratitude for everything you have.
Yeah. Well.
So anyway, that was always
well,
part of what structure.
We have great gratitude for what you've brought into our midst with this film, and I hope many will see it.
Well, I didn't bring it in. I mean, Mother Cabrini brought it in.
Well, you had something to do with it, Eustace.
Well, I was called to make the film, no question. Alejandro felt he was called to make the film. He says that he shot shots that he doesn't remember shooting. And so many things came together. I always say doing a film's like making a cake. It's magic. It either turns out or it doesn't turn out. Yeah. And so many things can go wrong because you're dealing with human beings. And you're dealing with unions, and you're dealing with weather, and you're dealing with
release dates.
Attitudes. And we had 1,000 extras. We had 1,200 extras. And we could have been shut down because of COVID. We had 9 cases break out, and they didn't shut us down. And if they had shut us down, we had to pay 60% of the salaries for 2 weeks, including the 1,200 extras. Wow. We had to pay a fortune for all the tests we had every day, testing 3 times a day. So Mother Cabrini picked the time. She picked the actors. She picked the weather. She picked the locations. She picked everything. Because we made her executive producer. I think I told you that. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Is she in the credits?
She's the #1.
Oh.
Executive producer, Francesca Cabrini.
Wow.
And when we announced that to the cast and the crew, everybody was reading her books. They all read the script. When you walked on the Cabrini set, it was like a Notre Dame football rally. I mean, you could cut it with a knife. The passion, the excitement for this woman. Yeah. It's just permeated the air. Yeah. You walk back into the makeup department. and they'd be reading the book of Cabrini and excited about Cabrini. You walk into the wardrobe department, same thing. Anywhere in that set, anywhere you went, they were excited about Cabrini.
Well, thank you for the time. Thank you for the film.
Thank you. It's a must-see film, not a have-to-see film. It's a must-see film. Wherever you are, if you just want it for the cinematography, the acting, the music, and the dialogue, it's worth it just for that. But it's so much more than that. That this movie will change your life.
Cabrini, produced by Eustace Wolfington, hits theaters Friday, March 8th. For information on tickets and showtimes, visit angel.com/Cabrini. Meanwhile, Cardinal Raymond Burke is calling on Catholics, especially those in the Americas, to join him in a spiritual renewal, a novena with a very special purpose. Cardinal Burke is leading a novena culminating in an act of consecration on December 12th. Listen.
This March, I am beginning a 9-month novena, imploring the intercession of Our Lady of Guadalupe against the pressing crises of our age. This novena will culminate in a consecration to Our Lady of Guadalupe on her feast day in December. I ask you please to join me in this urgent return to Our Lady.
More information on the novena can be found at novena.cardinalburke.com. He's truly a rock and roll legend, one of the most successful performers from the pre-British invasion era, and he's still recording today. He's got a dozen top 40 hits. It had them in the late 50s, early 60s with the Belmonts, and as a solo artist. I Wonder Why, Teenager in Love, The Wanderer, Run Around Sue, I could be here all afternoon. They all became standards. Throughout his 6-decade career, he's recorded over 40 albums, and his latest, Blues with Friends, is just that, 14 tunes steeped in the blues, featuring friends who just happen to be some of the greatest musicians of all time. He's here with me tonight to tell us about his most recent album. Please welcome back to the program a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, my pal, Dion. Dion, thanks for being with us.
Yo, good to be with you all.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you back on the show. Let's start with this new album, Blues with Friends. And boy, you've got great friends. Bruce Springsteen, Van Morrison, Paul Simon, Jeff Beck, the list goes on. How did the idea for this album come about? And how did you manage to corral this talent?
It's crazy, Raymond. I wouldn't be able to plan it if I tried. I had 14 great songs that I wrote. They seem to have been the best batch of songs I ever wrote. I was under the spout where the glory comes out, or, you know, under the wellspring of creativity. And I had 2 months off while I was working on the play, The Wanderer. And I thought, let me go into the studio and knock these songs out. Because it took me about 4 years, in the writing. So I went in, cut them in 3 days. Joe Bonamassa comes over my house and listens to a song called Blues Coming On. He says, Dion, that's a great track. Let me play on it. I said, Joe, be my guest. Well, when he played on it, Raymond, I kid you not, I know how to write a song, I know how to sing a song, I know how to make a great record. But I truly believe that after listening to him, I said, I am limited in my ideas and my, the concept of how I want these things to evolve. And I think it's fair to say that Joe Bonamassa gave me the vision for it, because when I started listening to the other songs that my other tracks, I thought I had a ballad. For instance, I had a ballad. I said, who could play on this? And I thought of Jeff Beck. I said, he's the only guitar player who can make me cry. I heard him do Puccini's aria, Nessandora, and he can make me cry. So I sent him the song, and he said, I'd love to play on it. Well, when Jeff Beck said yes, I knew he was like the gold standard, He has magic in his hands. I thought this is a good thing, and then I had a song called Bam Bang Boom. So I'd sent it to Billy Gibbons, from ZZ Top. He's like John Lee Hooker on steroids. And the things started shaping, and I just rode the wave. I kept asking friends, and
Wow.
that's
Well,
what you got here.
It's an
Blues
incredible.
friends.
It is an incredible outpouring of who you are in your artistry, and also these other people coming in. And it's interesting, as I read some of the reviews, they say, as great as these people are around you, you have the distinction of being able to retain your brand, your power, your artistry, and they never, according to these reviewers, they never bypass you or overwhelm you, which sometimes happens when you have guests come into a piece. I want to give people a sense of the album. Here's one of the first tracks. It features Bruce Springsteen and his wife, Patty. It's called Hymn to Him. Listen to this, then I want you to comment on it.
Come to Him through the darkness, come to Him through the rain, walk with Him from misfortune, walk with Him from the pain. He's the light of salvation, head that's never bound. He's the first step of wisdom, He's the sun through the clouds, walk with Him. Blend your life with His blessings, drink the wine of tomorrow. Yesterday must be banished with the seeds of your sorrow.
That is such a gorgeous piece, Dion. Tell us about the song. It was originally recorded for an album you did in the mid-'80s. Why did you decide to resurrect it here?
This is the one song that I had recorded back in the 80s, and I just didn't like where it settled. I always thought that I could, I wanted it to live somewhere else. And I said, Patty Scalfa would be a great person to sing some harmony with me. She's the Jersey soul girl. So I sent it to Patty, and she loved the song, and so did Bruce. And she went into the studio, and this is the great thing about this album. It's just, it's thrilling to get these masterful, monster, distinctive, mesmerizing artists that get their concept and infuse it on my song. It's like, so Patty goes in, I thought she was going to sing harmony with a few lines and maybe echo a line here or there. She stacked about 9 or 10 vocals, and she captured like the wind of the Holy Spirit or something, a higher reality. Wow. And then Bruce walks in the room with his gravitas guitar, and he captures the universe for sure with this big sound, and and I'm listening, and this is the fun thing about this album. I had such a great time playing, working with these artists, because every time I heard a contribution, it was thrilling to me. It was like so much fun to listen to. And I got excited for the next song, and I started casting different guitar players for songs, but I didn't have any stress about it. It was such a labor of love and fun for me.
It all came together, yeah. It just all came together. You've never shied away from your religious convictions, Dion. Were you worried that the subject matter of that particular Hymn to Him might scare off Patty and Bruce Springsteen?
No, they embraced it. They have, they're naturals. Bruce grew up, right in back of him was a Catholic church, so he has a lot of stories when I read his book. But, he had, it's in his DNA, so they responded to it so lovingly. They didn't have, there was no pushback or anything. They embraced it, and we love each other, actually, so we support each other. It's a good, but let me tell you a story.
Feel that, That covers this album, Dion. I mean, you hear the love and the affection and the camaraderie and the respect everybody has for one another on this project. But you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to tell you a funny story. My wife, Susan, we've been married 57 years, have 3 beautiful children, 5 great grandchildren. I mean, wonderful grandchildren. You know, if you get in my wife's car, she has like 12 Van Morrison albums. Her favorite singer is Van Morrison. And I always told her, Susan, we're soul brothers. So I get this song, I Got Nothing. And the song is called I Got Nothing. And when you're singing with Van Morrison, nothing is more than enough. So I go into the studio with him. And Raymond, I got to tell you, you haven't lived until you sing with Van Morrison. It's just so much fun. But after I did this song, and I put it in the CD player in the car, and Susan heard it, Raymond, I am in for the next 30 years.
You finally made it.
I finally impressed her.
It took all these years. That's pretty good. Maybe I need to get Van Morrison's number to see if I can get in the club at home too. That might work, Dion.
I'll text it to you right now.
Text it to me. Thank you. Look, you've recorded so many different genres: doo-wop, rock and roll, pop, country. And since 2006, you've really majored in blues. Now, folks still think of you as that doo-wop kid from the Bronx, but one reviewer recently described you as a Catholic blues man. Do you agree with that description?
Well, Catholic is universal, so I'll take it, you know, I'll take it. You know, it's a funny thing. The blues is a community. We listen together, we play together, we enjoy together. And I always say you're never alone with the blues. You know, I always think of, we gotta get back to love and serving one another and caring about each other, you know? Right. And this kind of music, you don't have to think. It's so natural. It's a God-given form, the blues. It's the naked cry of the human heart, longing to be in union with God. And like when you listen to it, it just brings you together. It brings you closer. It gets you out of yourself instead of winding in and winding down and exploding. It gets you into a place of friendship and understanding, love and brotherhood, and that's what we need, you know.
Dion, when we were talking once, you connected the blues to the Psalms of King David one time, and I thought that is an amazing connection that I had never made before or thought about.
Well, I always say, Raymond, and you know it because you know what the Psalms say. You know, the Psalms are songs. So if you had to retitle, if you wanted to retitle the Psalms, you could call them the blues. Because, like I said, everybody's crying out. King David, he's crying out to be in union with God and get some peace and serenity, tranquility in his life, you know? And, you know.
Powerful. They're powerful. I need to show folks this, Dion. This is an amazing picture we dug up to give them an idea of how long you've been doing this. Now, this is you at 12 years old singing a Hank Williams song to Tony Bennett. He eventually recorded, by the way, Cold, Cold Heart and had a hit with it. Tell me about your earliest influences. Who inspired you to be a musician?
You know, Raymond, when I was a kid, I must have been 10 years old, 11 years old. I had a transistor, and under the blankets at night, you know, I tuned into Wheeling, West Virginia, and I must have hit a station. I heard Honky Tonk Blues, and it blew my mind. The next day I was at the record store. I said, I heard this song, Honky Tonk Blues by Hank Williams. Do you know who, you know? And then I started collecting Hank Williams. I went back to the station. I heard Jimmy Reed. Raymond, when I heard Jimmy Reed, I have never been the same. I'm still like that. Since I was 10, it's still thrilling to me to listen to this stuff. So those are my early influences. And that, Raymond, without Jimmy Reed, I don't think I'd be talking to you here today.
Wow. No, I hear that influence. You can hear that influence. And Hank Williams. It's Americana. It's a uniquely American sound. When we were talking the other day, I said what I loved about this album is at a time when America is being challenged and questioned. The reason your album, Blues with Friends, I think is the #1 blues album in the country on Billboard's chart, is because people are yearning to reconnect with that Americana sound. And these are like the Mount Olympus of American singers and performers that you've brought together. There's something unique about that in this marketplace at this moment. And there's a track on the album that, to my ear, couldn't be more timely. It's called A Song for Sam Cooke, here in America. And it's you and Paul Simon. I'm going to play a little bit about it, and then I want you to talk about it. Roll that.
We traveled this land back in 1962. We played the places that were home to me and you. We drove to Memphis. We rocked the set. We walked the streets at night and smoked a cigarette here in America. Here in America. There was so much I didn't know about the way that life could go here in America. Down the block I saw the people stop and stare. You did your best to make a Yankee boy aware. I never thought about the color of your skin. I never worried about the hotel I was in here in America. Whoa, whoa, here in America. In America.
Now, Dion, you knew Sam Cooke. You toured with him through Memphis. Where did this song come from? Is it biographical?
You know, I toured. I think this is a lovely story, Raymond, because I toured with Sam Cooke for 6 weeks. And he was a very intelligent, kind of refined guy. He was the son of a preacher, so he wasn't afraid to talk about God, you know. And, you know, I saw him in a lot of situations. We traveled in the South, and I never experienced anything like that because I knew, you know, I come from the Bronx. There was racism in the North, but it wasn't the same because my mother worked in the millinery line. She worked with Black, Jewish, Asian, whatever, you know, I never heard, my parents, I never heard a disparaging word against any kind of ethnic group. But I was rough around the edges, and Sam was a very refined guy. And when I heard people calling him names, sometimes to his face, I'd go up to him and say, Sam, give him a right hook, just whack him like this or hit him like that. You know, I was like a tough kid, you know, and he'd say, Dion, you know, that's a peculiar way to become a man. You know, if race matters to you, you're a racist. He said, to us, it doesn't matter. It's like eye color or shoe color, you know? So, you know, the thing is, I watched him under a lot of circumstances, you know, in a lot of, and he never got ruffled. He never responded badly or reacted, you know, and then it dawned on me why. He was the brightest guy in the room. And he started teaching me because he wasn't afraid to talk about faith and a higher reality and a higher pitch and, you know, and just a better way to do things. You know, he wanted to change the world. He wrote, change is going to come. And he did it through his music, through his writing, through his performing. But most of all,
company.
But most of all, he did it through brotherhood and friendship and understanding. And he taught me. So when I had this song that I wrote for a long time and I never recorded it. And last year I saw Green Book And I said to my wife, I said, Susan, they did a movie about my song, but it's like in reverse. I said, I took it out of the back of the drawer, dusted it off, had lunch with Paul Simon, put it before him, showed it to him, said, Paul, this is not a song solely about racism. It's about brotherly love. Sam was living out the gospel, loving his brother as himself. I said, I learned so much from this man. And Paul got it. He knew it. And he said, Dion, I hear what I want to do on it. Give it to me. Give it to me. So went into the studio and he did something sublime with it. So I'm glad you mentioned this song because I really.
No, it's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, Raymond.
And so timely today. I mean, it speaks to today in this moment. And again, that wisdom, that shared knowledge, that understanding, you lived through all that history. You know, I've interviewed Johnny Mathis in the past who had a similar, you know, he went through the same hardships that Sam Cooke, Nat King Cole, some of those other folks did, traveling through the South or even trying to work in Vegas, where they were in separate hotels, had to enter through the back door of these casinos where they were headlining. I mean, it was a very different world for black performers and entertainers in that era. And their dignity and class and talent overwhelmed the racism of the moment, and now, you know, they're iconic and you know,
it did,
again,
you know, Sam,
part of that American story.
Sam Cooke took me to a club in Memphis to see James Brown before anybody knew him. You know, James Brown and the Flames. And everybody was going, who's that? You know, like it was in reverse. Reverse discriminate, you know, so he was going, the kid's with me. My friend, this is Dion, you know, he's with me, leave him alone, you know. So that basically that's what the song is about, our friendship. You know, I remember him. You know, he was such a great guy that I miss him. And this is like 60 years ago. Raymond, would you believe it?
Amazing. It's amazing. Bob Dylan penned the liner notes for this new album. He had this to say about you and your music. When you have a voice as deep and wide as Dion's, that voice can take you all the way around the world and then all the way back home to the blues. Dion knows how to sing, and he knows just the right way to craft these songs, these blues songs. He's got some help, or some friends here to help him out, some true luminaries, but in the end, it's Dion by himself alone and that masterful voice of his that will keep you returning to share these blues songs with him. How does that kind of recognition from a man widely regarded as one of the greatest songwriters really of our time and your contemporary strike you when you first read those or read them?
Well, you know, every time Dylan writes something, it seems like I learned something I didn't know. I don't know what that is about him, but he's just my definition of a genius is whatever they're doing in their particular field, the distance between what they're doing and everybody else is doing is definitely a distance. And Dylan is, you know, when I finished the album and I sent it to, you know, I had all my friends play on it. I had no more songs. I said, I'm going to ask Bob Dylan if he'd write something for it. I go back to the early 60s with Bob Dylan, and I sent it to him. And, you know, we all know he's the greatest songwriter of the 20th century, and he won a Nobel Prize. But a lot of people don't know he's a great blues singer, and he's steeped in the tradition. So I sent it to him, and it really touched me, you know, what he sent back. It really, and it was insightful, too, about, I love the line that he said, you know, there's a built-in law in the blues. You don't have to overpay for them. What he's saying is, I think he's talking about the commandments, the natural, you know, the law that's written on your heart, you know. You don't have to kill yourself to sing this stuff. We all have the blues. I mean, John Paul too had the blues. He was born in Poland with communism and the Nazis and the, you know, I mean, the guy was brought up. You don't have to be, you know what I mean? We all experience, we all suffer in some way, you know?
Yep. No, suffering is the thing that unites us.
Yeah.
You recently released a 1965 Columbia recording that had been shelved and never released. It's called Kickin' Child. It was recorded at the time you were in the depths of addiction. It has been lauded as one of your best albums. And you said in an interview recently that when you listened to it sober, it seemed like heroin never touched it. What was special about those sessions, done with Dylan's producer at the time, I might add?
Yeah, well, he was producing both of us. Tom Wilson, great guy.
Right.
You know, I went in with a band. I had great songs, and I sang this stuff. And Columbia I was evolving. I was developing as an artist, but they wanted me to stay in a certain place. And I've never been able to do that. My artistic curiosity gets the best of me. You know, God, you know, you can't stay in one place. I'm growing every day, you know. So, but Columbia did not want to release this album at the time. And there was so much negativity around it, I forgot it for years. And then somebody found it in the back room. They released it about 5 years ago. And I was driving across the country. I went to meet up with Tom Monahan over at the Ave Maria College. And I'm driving back across Alligator Alley, and I slip it into the CD player, and I'm listening to it, and all the negativity that surrounded that album, the fight, I left Columbia over it. They didn't want to release it. It just all fell away. And I'm listening to the album and I'm saying, wow, this is really a great album. It was just, I mean, it was done live. And you know, all that negative, it's funny how you kind of have all this stuff piggybacking that artistic endeavor, you know, and then all of a sudden that slipped away. I heard what was there, and I said, not bad, you know. But you want to know, I was using heroin back there in the mid 60s, and in 1968, Frankie Lyman, who I ran with and took drugs with, he died in 1968, and it just bothered me. It just touched me and broke me. And I got on my knees and I said a prayer. Raymond, when I stood up, God removed the obsession to drink and drug. I haven't had a drug or drink for 52 years. And wow. And that's what got me on the path to grow spiritually, because I became aware of God's power. And as I grew a little more, I became aware of his reality. And here I am on your show, and I'm, you know, sounding good, feeling good, still married. So God is good. He's great.
That is all the time we have for now. Be sure to catch us next week. Until then, we'll be scouting the world over for all that is seen and unseen. On behalf of the staff and crew of EWTN News, thank you for watching. I'm Raymond Arroyo. Bye now.